Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's me, Colin, Project Constitution. We got a great show for you today. I have a former Turning Point employee with me today, Kelvia Campbell. She was hi. She was
Yeah.
fired in the mass wave of terminations a while back. So we're going to talk to her, interview with her. I'm starting something new on this channel here. If you see down the bottom where it says you can donate to this link, it's like a super chat. So if you like what I do, if you want to support independent journalism, um, then you can go ahead and send a comment. You can send a donation. And anybody who sends a donation and leaves a comment at that site right there, I'll read out your comment live on the stream like a super chat. And yeah, and it's also, by the way, it's pinned in the chat. So if anybody, if you can't read it on the screen, just go to the chat, the live chat. It's pinned up at the top. And so without further ado, I guess we'll go ahead and get into it. Welcome, Kelvia. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on the show. I've been a fan since I saw you. I think you're doing some amazing work on the Charlie Kirk investigation. And we need this. We need vocal people. We need people on every level. And there's a reason why I've made the decisions that I have and the decision to come on here. And I just want to preface the whole thing with, I'm not trying to sway anybody either way. I'm not trying to sell any specific conspiracy theory. I simply just want to tell people my truth, my experiences working there, and specific instances, stuff that leadership has told me, stuff that I knew that went on behind the scenes. And if you think it aligns with a theory or it connects some dots for you, have at it. I'm here for it. But yeah, I just want everybody to know I'm not here to sell something. I'm just going to tell you the truth. And I think people need to know what the people are really like at Turning Point. That goes for USA and Turning Point Action. I think people need to know what they're like, know who they're supporting, know what kind of employees they have and leadership they have.
Yeah, I agree. And I say you have a lot of courage for speaking out. We definitely appreciate it. The more of you that speak out, the easier it will be to actually show what these people are really like behind the scenes. They're not what they claim to be, and it's really important, not just for the public to know that, but for the donors especially to know that. They need to know where their money's going, who these people are going to. They're not good stewards of the money. They're not good Christian people like they purport to be, and it's important to show that.
And the ones that post I was just gonna say the ones who post the Bible verses and wear like the cross necklaces, those are the worst.
yeah, exactly. Like Erica, for example. She's got to interject. She has to interject the Bible verse into pretty much everything she does. It's ridiculous. I just want to react to this comment. No, it doesn't.
Sure.
Want to react to this comment real quick. Your haters brought me here. When people I hate complain about someone, it gives them instant credibility. I couldn't agree more with that. And thank you for joining us. Absolutely. I'm glad you came. Yeah, did you see you probably got here because of the commotion this weekend. Did you see the commotion this weekend with the post I posted about Andrew Colvet's wife divorcing him?
Oh yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, he definitely I will say, for the record, he did comment on it and say that the rumors are untrue. He said it's denied. He denied the accusation. So I have to tell you that I'm a responsible journalist, but it definitely got under his skin because he he went hard this weekend. Both he had him, Tyler Boyer, and Blake Neff commented, all three of them. They commented multiple times on my post. They were completely all bent out of shape. They got so triggered.
Oh yeah, that's
and
the
honestly,
tripod right there.
They're the three stooges is what they are. And I wasn't sure, and even in the post, I wasn't sure if it was true or not. I was just reporting on it because it had been picked up by another outlet that was in Arizona. So I was like, there might be something to this. And I also know that Andrew Colbert has scrubbed the internet with all his personal information, like his Truth Finder and all that. He's taken it all down so you can't find it anymore. And he's like, so I know that if there was a divorce between them, I can almost guarantee you that he would have, had that case sealed. So we wouldn't be able to tell whether it was or not. So anyway, so that's why I posted it. I posted it because it was being reported on elsewhere. Wasn't sure if it was true or not. I mentioned that in the post, and I asked for more information. I want other Turning Point employees that are close, other people that are friends with both of them, reach out to me if you got any information on it. And I even though he denies the rumor, I will say that just based on their response alone, that kind of tells me that there might be something there. Yeah, there might be some fire behind that smoke, because they sure got bent out of shape this weekend over that.
Yeah, and this is what I tell people. If it weren't true, why are you so mad? If it's not true, why do you get all bent out of shape? And here's my other thing. They're like, I'm viewed as a traitor now. I'm like a Benedict Arnold to them. And it's just like, what's there to leak? If you're so innocent, what information is there to leak? I mean, it's crazy. Like Charlie was all about common sense. Just break it down real simple. Okay, you guys are completely innocent, right? So none of this stuff should matter. None of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you got nothing to hide, then you would be truthful. And that's the thing. Like they pick and choose what they want to comment on. If they would just answer our questions from the beginning, there wouldn't be any, like, all the suspicion, all this stuff that's going on for these last 7 months, 8 months. It wouldn't have happened. If they've got nothing to hide, then just be open and outright and answer our questions. But when they don't answer our questions, when they refuse to release the video of Charlie from the donor summit in Aspen, where he allegedly claimed that he wants Erica to take over for him as CEO if something happened, where that's clearly, in my opinion, that's AI. He wouldn't have said that. I don't think he said that, and that's why they didn't show the video. So it's so simple. If you're not lying, if you're telling the truth, then just show the video. That would shut everybody up.
Yeah, it's so simple. And I thought when Blake Neff has a conniption, I think it's hilarious. He said that Candace Owens looks like a criminal on a subway brandishing a knife. I was like, and I'm not even, I know Laura Loomer, her little campaign against Candace.
Oh, she's been after me too. Yeah, she's another one threatening to sue me and all this stuff.
What's crazy?
Certifiable nutcase.
You know what? Yeah, I would agree with you on that. The funny thing is I sat like 4 rows behind her at the memorial. I had no idea who I was sitting behind. And I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I didn't even know who she was until Charlie passed away. And then, she didn't have nice things to say about him while he was alive either. So I don't think people are buying it.
No. And honestly, that's one of the things that bothers me. And I know it bothers Candace, people like us the most is, they want to shut down and be adversarial to all us people that actually love Charlie, and are looking for the truth, trying to find out what really happened to him. But at the same time, what they're doing is they're inviting his enemies into their organization. They're like people like Ben
It's
Shapiro,
so
Laura Loomer.
disrespectful.
These people
It's
hated
so
Charlie. It really is. They're now taking
when
money
they
from
had
the same Jewish donors that Charlie had turned down their money because he said they were emotionally blackmailing him, or morally I'm sorry, they were morally blackmailing him.
Yeah. Yep. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, when I read that tweet, the iconic tweet that Laura Loomer said, she was like, "Everybody hates you, Candace. God doesn't love you." I'm like, as I was reading that, I literally pictured like The Exorcist, like Linda Blair projectile vomiting everywhere. I was like, this woman is, first of all, she looks, she looks like Loki off the Avengers. Like, the skin is like, it just looks evil.
Jigsaw, man. She looks just like Jigsaw.
Jigsaw, that's what I was gonna say. Candace Owens will post Jigsaw, and it is hilarious. It is hilarious. Like, these people are like cartoons. They're like DC comic characters. It's nuts. But on a lighter note, I guess, I can tell you how and why I wanted to work at Turning Point.
Yeah, let's get into that. So so tell us your story, I guess. How did you start your journey into working for the wonderful Turning Point? Well, actually, they were wonderful at a time, so I won't be like that, because under Charlie, they were a wonderful organization. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So I was working at the state capitol in Kentucky, and I was like a legislative assistant. I wasn't doing too much, but I realized I was not making a difference there at all. And I had a really just boring, low-key job, and I sat there a lot. So I would listen to Charlie Kirk, and I was actually listening to the Daily Wire. I actually applied to the Daily Wire before I applied to Turning Point. I got through like the second or third interview. I'm glad that did not work out. But anyway, so I realized I wasn't
horrible.
Then no.
You're definitely, God was looking out for you there.
He was looking out for me. And as soon as I moved out here to Arizona, they fired Candace. I literally remember my second day in Arizona, and they fired her, and I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. But anyway, I would watch Charlie back in Kentucky, even on my state capitol job, and I was like, how can I make a difference like this? I cannot believe there's people out there like Charlie and Candace that think just like me, but they actually have the balls to put it out there. That's how I viewed them. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is the only white guy that I have ever seen successfully and effectively criticize the Black community. I mean, he would just say things so frank. And I was like, man, I'd be like, he was like, he's like the Eminem out there, just doing his thing, not caring what anybody thinks. And I thought that was so cool. So Officer Tatum was advertising for America Fest, and I was like, oh my gosh, I saw the speaker lineup, and it was like Michael Knowles and Tucker, and I was like, this is an actual convention. Like, all these people are going to be in the same building. So I went and I took my resume. I was like, no, I want to make a difference. I actually want to be on the ground. And at the time I was like, I want to get Trump in office. I have to be a part of this fight. So I went to America Fest. I networked. I handed my resume out. And Charlie even said on stage, he's like, the time you spend here is up to you. You can network, you can goof off, but if you want a job, network here. So I did. And I met him. I was kind of a fangirl when I first met him. I kind of chased him down the hall a little bit and got my picture with him. And then he had a book signing for College is a Scam. And I stood in line and I got my book signed. And I looked at him and I was like, I'm applying to Turning Point. I just want you to know I'm applying to Turning Point and I'm going to work for you someday. I was like, I want to work for you. And he did that little smile of his and he fist bumped me. Yeah.
That's so sweet. I can totally picture him doing that too.
Yeah, that little, yeah, he like fist bumped me. He probably thought I was crazy because I don't do very well around high profile people. I probably scare them actually. But anyway, so I applied after that and I got it. I mean, they actually gave me a chance, and it's very unfortunate because, you know, they question, they're like, do we want to hire somebody across the country? Are they actually going to commit? Are they actually going to move here? And I said, 100%. I don't have kids. I'm not married. Let's do this. So they picked me.
So let me just, okay. So you were in Kentucky when you applied to be hired, and they actually chose you and you moved to Arizona. That's awesome. They took that risk on you, that chance on you, and you were willing to do that. That says a lot.
And I made a deal with God. I said, if you can get me a job for Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's organization, I will load up my RAV4 and I will drive 27 hours to Arizona and move there. And that's what ended up happening. And I love this state. I really do. I feel like, yeah, this state just fits me like a glove. But yeah, I moved out here, and I'll always have a special place in my heart for the manager that chose me. It was unfortunate to see people change on you. And I was talking to my friend about it. I was like, did they really change though? Or did I just see their true colors? End up seeing, you know, the true colors of these people. But I'll always have a special place in my heart for the people that hired me.
Is the manager that hired you still there?
Yeah. And they've moved up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was unfortunate, you know, that relationship, how it, you know, it kind of faded out. But where was I going with that? So yeah, she hired me. I was very grateful. And I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So yeah, I moved out here. I was so stoked. And like I said, there was some foreshadow in my interview and I didn't even realize it. They asked me, they said, why do you want to work for Turning Point? And I said, because I believe that good will always conquer evil in the end. And I literally told them that I thought that Charlie was a modern day prophet. I said, I really, truly believe that. And then they asked me, who's your hero? Who's your biggest hero? And I said, Candace Owens.
Oh, whoa.
I know. I was just like, man, how the times have changed. And, you know,
and they hired you at the time. That's crazy. They still hired you at the time. That just shows you that Candace was at the time, you know, a big part of that organization. You know, they could try to deny it. They could try to, you know, hate on her all she wanted, but Charlie loved her. She loved Charlie, and she was a big part of that.
They had a beautiful friendship. And I got to tell you this, I was so mad at her for the longest time. So after I started working at Turning Point, you know, and, you know, I was getting a little, I guess you could say, I drank the Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. And I completely turned against Candace. I was like, she's lost her mind. I was talking mad-ish, which I hope she never sees that because I love her. I love her so much. I love her so much now, but I was talking some ish. And I was like, why has she gone nuts? Is this like postpartum like psychosis? Like, she's Catholic and she had like those 4 kids back to back. I was like, maybe there's something wrong. But I was like, why is she anti-Israel and why is she talking about Brigitte Macron? But I mean, if it wasn't for Candace, I wouldn't even know the First Lady of France's name. So I guess that's good. But anyway, after Charlie died, I want you to know my dislike for her completely went away. I mean, it was a spiritual thing. I locked myself in my apartment. I didn't leave my apartment for days after Charlie died. Like everyone else was going out doing the candlelit vigils and taking pictures and videos of themselves crying. And I just couldn't do that. I didn't want to be a part of that. So I was sitting at home and I felt like I started connecting the dots and I really started reflecting on this. And it's kind of like what Candace said. Nothing felt right about this. Nothing. Even at the early stages, days after his assassination, nothing felt right about this. And she made like a 20-minute video after he died of their friendship. And I still cry when I watch it to this day. And some of the people that are on the fence about her, I'll send that video to them. And I'm like, I just want you to look at their friendship and how they started Turning Point. I had no idea that their friendship went that deep. And it made me realize she was the only person in his circle that made a video like that. She actually had tons of photos of the two of them. She had videos of them dancing and singing together. And I was like, why isn't anybody else in his circle, his best friends, like putting stuff like this out? Did you see it?
Yeah, it was amazing. Her tribute that she did.
Yes.
And it was honestly, it was real telling because she's one of the very few people that actually came out and was correcting the record and saying, like, honestly, she's the only one that was grieving properly.
Yeah.
In the wake of Charlie, everybody else seemed to just want to just throw it under the rug. We're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on going with the Charlie Kirk show, business as usual. Erica is doing that. Were you on the Zoom call, the company wide Zoom call with her that day? Actually, there were two of them. There was
that was USA. That was a Turning Point USA meeting.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Because you were part of Turning Point Action under Tyler Boyer, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. The 501c4, the political arm.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But Candace was, she was the, it was a beautiful, beautiful video that she released about them. And when she finally did, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, it was beautiful. And like I said, any disagreement I had with her just completely faded. My dislike for her at the time completely faded. And I thought to myself, Charlie would not want me to hate Candace. He would not agree with that. He doesn't think you should hate anybody. And, their friendship, even though they didn't agree on Israel, and even though they saw things differently, he never forfeited that friendship, just like with Tucker.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to tell us, where you on the 10th, September 10th, you want to tell us what happened that day, where you were, how you learned about Charlie, and I guess you can kind of go through the sequence of events of that and how you felt or whatever,
Sure. It was an unusual day in many ways. My enterprise director came to town to shadow me, and we had a meeting with the mayor of Glendale, which was in my territory. We were all assigned a different territory, and we were in the meeting, and all of a sudden his phone kept blowing up. And he's like, all these people keep trying to call me. I'm going to have to step out. I'm sorry. I got to take these calls. Well, then the meeting concluded and the chief of staff came up to me and he's like, Kelvia, come here. Let's go to my office. And I was like, okay. And then we got in there and he's like, I think you should sit down. And I was like, okay. He's like, Charlie Kirk has been shot. It's been reported that Charlie Kirk's been shot. And of course I immediately started like tearing up and I was like, no, this can't be the case. And then, my enterprise director came back and he was just like, our worst nightmare has happened. Charlie has been shot. And he had just gotten off the phone with the COO. And, he said that he had caught a flight to Utah and he was headed straight to Utah. So all of us, the whole staff, the mayor's office, we were standing there just our jaws were dropped watching the news coverage of it. And that's when the actual footage of it was like circulating. And I saw the video for myself because, I decided I wanted to watch it. I wanted to see what those bastards did to him. So I watched it. I sent it to my parents. Of course, I called my mom and dad immediately. I said, Charlie's been shot. I don't know what his condition is. I don't know if the shooter is at large. I have no idea what's going on. Well, anyway, my enterprise director basically was like, well, I got to go. Charlie's been shot. I'm going to go on to headquarters. And he left me there at the mayor's office by myself, which looking back, I'm kind of like, man, what an asshole. And I was just like, this is the type of thing that I'm talking about and I'm going to get into is just the beta males that work for Turning Point. Like a lot of the males, the people in general that work at Turning Point, they are like the antithesis of what Charlie was.
Yeah, I got you. Before we get into that, let me just ask you, like, when you first saw it, did you think something was suspicious when you first saw it, or did you just take it at face value, or at what point did you start to believe that something wasn't quite right about what they're claiming happened to Charlie, as opposed to what our eyes witnessed?
Well, it didn't help that they paved over the crime scene days after it happened. That's when I was kind of like, what are you doing? But no, I definitely believed it at face value at first. I didn't think anybody was lying to me. Why would you make something like this up? I'm not going to lie. It did strike me as odd that it happened in Utah. And even my director made that comment. He was like, out of all places, Utah. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think my suspicion started then. To be honest with you, I was like, Utah, Mormon Empire? Really?
Yep, it had to be Utah because that's where they had the Mormon Mafia. That's the only place that they can control every aspect of it. It's the truth. They control the people in the the cops that were there that day. They control the people that were in the hospital, the surgeons that were in the hospital, the media. They control everything. So, and honestly, a lot of the people there that day, I don't think they were even actual like students. I think they were, operatives on the ground, because there was a lot of people in a maroon shirt.
Yeah, that was mentioned, on Candace's show. She said a lot of witnesses there said none of those were students. None of them were students that actually went to that school. It was other age groups and other people. And did you see that come out? I forgot what his X handle was, but the guy that got a hold of the documents about the military, and they have a color for each mission and it names the color that day. And they said the day of Charlie's death, that color was redacted. That was the only day that the color. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I think I know in my mind my stance, but like I'm still one of those people. I'm open to the truth. It says that in my bio on X. I'm open to the truth. And if documents are if presented to me and I see hard evidence, I mean, what else are you supposed to think? What else are you
Yeah, I
supposed
mean,
to think with?
I'm the same way. At first, I took it at face value, but the more inconsistencies that they just kept piling up, the more things I kept seeing piling up. Like you said, like how they paved over the crime scene. How it looked like there was no exit wound. Like there was just an entry. I mean, there was a. It just didn't look right. Uh, and there's just a lot of things. But I as well am open to the truth. I've never been. I'm not one of those people that are dead set. My theory is the only theory. It's got to be the microreceiver on his belt. That's what it is. It can be nothing else. I'm open to whatever. I mean, in the very beginning, I've posted everything. I've posted, people that think the palm gun guy. I've posted that. I've posted people thinking they're drones, and I've been kind of all over the board. Yeah, I'm open to wherever the evidence takes us, and if it like I don't think it will because everything I've seen. But if something crazy comes out in the Tyler Robinson case that proves that he 100% is the guy that did it and it was killed by a gun, I would be open to that. I wouldn't be like, absolutely
Yeah,
not. I'm not in it to have a narrative. I'm in it for the truth, and that's from day one. That's all. That's all I've wanted. That's all most of us want. And that's
that's all we
important to
want.
note because they want to make it out like we're just people that are grifters and all we want to do is just lie and make up headlines for clout or for views or money. That's not the case. We want the truth. That's all we want. That's all we've been after since the beginning. We're all normal people. I wasn't even a podcaster or doing any of that stuff when I first started. I mean, I had an account, but I was just posting like pro-Trump stuff at the time because I was on the Trump bandwagon. I used the account to help get him elected, which now I regret that. But I'm just a normal person that was moved by what happened and started investigating, and that's where we ended up.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think we can all agree across the board. If we're wrong, we're wrong. And Pierce, I like Pierce Morgan, but he was giving Candace a lot of crap. He's like, well, who do you think did it? Like, what is your theory then? And I'm just like, it's an investigation. It doesn't seem like the FBI is really doing anything about it. And even it doesn't seem like the state of Utah is doing anything about it. So it's just like, yeah, independent journalists have stepped up. And, that was Candace's friend. Why wouldn't she be outraged? Why wouldn't she want to try to find the truth? And if we're wrong, we're wrong. It's an investigation. There's cold cases that go cold for 30 years and they don't find out until later what happened. And the fact that they're trying to like downplay it, because I'm a millennial, we grew up with CSI and Law and Order. And yes, those shows were embellished. You can't get DNA in like an hour. You can't find out whose DNA it is in an hour, but we saw the sincerity and that they were actually dedicated, in their jobs as law enforcement and detectives and analysts. It's just like, I feel like our generation knows that law enforcement, you're supposed to care. You're supposed to want to get to the bottom of things. You're supposed to seek justice. And yeah, I think that we were let down. Millennials were definitely let down on how they approach this.
we all were. I mean, Cash Patel, he's even been on record saying that, the reason that he hasn't looked into other people, like even like the people that were talking before Charlie died, saying Charlie's going to die on September 10th or whatever, and even one of them made a song about it and everything. And then that Amazon, somebody put out like I think it was Amazon book or something, but all those people that had pre-knowledge of what was going to happen should be looked into. And Cash Patel said he's on record saying the reason he's not looking into any of that is because he doesn't want to hurt the case that they have against Tyler Robinson. I'm like, what kind of bull crap is that? So you're telling me you don't want to find what really happened to him. You just want to railroad this guy. That's your tunnel vision. That's the only one to do is just railroad this guy. And Turning Point's the same way. You could see it when they had, what's her name? I can't remember her name. She's a lawyer on YouTube. Andrea Burkhart. When they had Andrea Burkhart on the Charlie Kirk show, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago or whatever, and they asked her, how long do you think it's going to go? And she was like, no, a couple years. It probably won't be till like 2028 before this is done with. And you could see their reaction. I don't know if you saw the clip, but their reaction was like, oh my God, like, oh, I can't believe it. Like they don't want them to take time to do a proper investigation. They don't want to find what really happened. They just want to railroad the guy, brush it under the rug so they can keep collecting their millions of dollars in money from all these Jewish donors. That's all they care about. So based on that, I guess let's move forward, and you could tell us about behind the scenes at Turning Point. You could tell us how these I guess their true colors and how these people really are.
Yeah, I think it's important that people know. And so, like I said, my enterprise director left me high and dry at the mayor's office right after we found out that Charlie had been shot. I mean, thank goodness the chief of staff at the mayor's office and all of them like comforted me. And I kind of sat there, and I think that's a true testament of how a lot of the people in leadership are there. They don't care about anybody. They care about winning, which I get it. It's a grassroots political organization, but they don't care about anybody. And I saw this meme the other day that reminded me of the workplace. It said, if your workplace says you all are like a family, run for the hills. And run for the hills. And there's been people, because we would go door knocking and canvassing and ballot chasing. There's been people that have actually been assaulted at the door of voters, like assaulted, like they had marks on them afterwards. And Turning Point, they didn't give a damn. They did not give a crap about that.
Yeah,
and
that's
it got
crazy.
to a point. It got to a point where in my job, I was like, I'm walking these neighborhoods by myself, sometimes in a different state. And sometimes, I would go knock on voters' doors in trailer parks. And I thought to myself one day, I'm like, if anything ever happened to me, nobody would care. They probably wouldn't, that nobody would care. And they'd be like, wait a minute, we've counted up the signatures, but where's Kelvia's sheet? That's the only thing they would care about. They'd be like, they probably wouldn't even know I was missing.
And honestly, that's a sad reality. It's a sad state of sad reality there. That's what their organization cares about.
I talked to my direct supervisor one day, and I was like, I feel like some people are uncomfortable about walking door to door by themselves in neighborhoods. And you know what he told me? He was like, well, that's what you're paid to do right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you think they would care about your safety.
No, they don't. But to get in more, so let me give you an example. So even before Charlie passed away, I saw the true colors of the people that work there. And I'll tell you what happened. So YWLS, that is the Young Women's Leadership Summit. That's actually coming up really soon. It's in June or July. And of course, Erica is leading that. That's actually where I met Erica. Yeah, I actually met her. And like I said, I was so enamored, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Charlie's wife. It's kind of like the preacher's wife. Nobody hates the preacher's wife. Everybody wants to meet the preacher's wife. You know what I mean? At church. And looking back on that interaction, I'm like, part of my soul is scratched because her eyes like glared into mine. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever be the same after that conversation. But go ahead.
She has that weird effect on people. I feel it. I mean, I can only imagine in person, but I feel it just watching her on video. It's just something really creepy about her with those eyes. It's like it's like there's blackness in there,
Yeah. And I told her, I just want to thank you and your husband for blessing us, with the opportunity for this mission. This organization's amazing and you're a job creator for people. I just said all the things. I was like, I think you're amazing. You and your husband are a blessing. But obviously times change. So anyway, I was on this conference working, and this was the first conference that I'd been to where there was no leadership, no authority present. The COO wasn't there. So the people that they put in charge, there was no directors there. The people they put in charge were like equals to me. And I mean, these people will compliment you to your face, shake your hand, tell you you're good at your job. I've had people tell me how pretty I look that day, and then they're at my throat 5 minutes later. I mean, they don't even try to hide it. So all these this is a women's conference too, by the way, so you already know there's tension. But we have a chase the vote department. It's kind of it's called CTV. That's like the middle-aged menopausal women's department. You know what I mean? That's like the Mormon trad wives and the single mothers. Well, anyway, two of them came on the trip. They let two people from CTV come on the trip. They'll remain unnamed. But they were aggravating me with the whole conference, and I didn't really know what it was, like the tension. I did my job. I showed up to every shift. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do. Well, after the conference, they must have held a grudge against me or something, because I get a call from the administrative director. My direct supervisor was on their honeymoon, so he wasn't there. So the administrative director stepped in and gave me a call. And he said, you got a lot of complaints about you on from this conference. And I was like, really? I was like, what's going on? And they made up these outrageous lies. And they said security was called to my hotel room. They said there was noise complaints. They said I was intoxicated. They said I was smoking in the halls of the hotel. And just to rewind back a little bit, one of those middle-aged menopausal Mormon women, at one point in the hallway of the hotel, she goes, is this your room right here? Is this your door? Is this your room? And I was like, yeah. Well, I found out later on she was one of the people that reported me. And looking back, I was like, that's why you wanted to know my room number. You wanted to know exactly where I was staying. So they didn't like me or my roommate. And it really upset me because I was just so mad about the situation. But my roommate, unfortunately, took it to heart, and she was legitimately concerned for her job. So they were trying to go after my job. So these women and a few guys on the trip, they created a coup. And I guess they thought it was power in numbers. So they all reported on me. And I had a talking to by the administrative director and the enterprise director. But I want you to know, when I got receipts, I have to get receipts. I literally called the hotel in Dallas, Texas, and they're like, Miss Campbell, there's no record of your stay that security was called. And then they told me they watched the surveillance, and they said security never even went down your hallway the whole time you were here. So when I started getting receipts for this, nobody wanted to talk about it anymore. Nobody wanted to talk about it.
People are so nasty, man. They'll stab you right in the back. Honestly, there's a lot of people on X that are like that as well. It drives me crazy. You know, like if I have a problem with you, I'll tell you right to your face. There's no sense of trying to go behind somebody's back and stab them and connive them. Like, it's people like that to me are just evil.
Yeah, and they couldn't understand for the life of them why our work relationship was never the same after that. These people don't see it as wrongdoing. That's not how their mind works. And so anyway, I told my enterprise director, I was like, you know what? I want to sit down with these people. I'm like you. I want to look you in the eye. I'm from Kentucky. You look people in the eye. You look your enemies in the eye and you talk it out, or a duel or something. So I told him, I said, why don't we sit down and have a formal meeting with the people who falsely reported me and their supervisor or director. And gaslighting is also something that's very common with the leadership. And then I swear that has to be a section in their training when they train managers and leadership. Gaslighting is a whole chapter. And my enterprise director was like, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to sit down and have a meeting. And I was like, why? Isn't that the professional thing to do? And, you know, Charlie was all about, let's talk it out. Let's just talk it out. And he gaslit me and told me, he's like, Kelvy, if you do that, honestly, it'll just make you look like a tattletale. And he said,
wild.
And I said, oh, okay. So if I confront the people who told on me and falsely reported me, that makes me look like a tattletale. I was like, that's rich.
That makes no sense at all. You can read right through it. You know, you can read right through their bullshit.
Yeah. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, we can't even like be adults about this and confront people and have a formal professional meeting. Like, he tried to twist it and make it like that was not the professional thing to do. And, you know, me, I was angry. I was like, they were going after my livelihood. Like, I live out in Arizona all by myself. I have no family out here. I have friends that are like family, but I don't have any family out here, nothing. And that's what they were trying to do. And they just brushed it under the rug like they do everything else. You know, Charlie's death, brush it under the rug, everything. And another turning point, that was my turning point, if you will. That was my turning point. I was like, wow, when leadership and directors turn their back and let us independently go to this conference, they all came at me. And I realized how everyone I worked with really felt about me.
So there's been a couple other people or somebody else I interviewed on the show, which talked a little bit about, you know, how these people are behind the scenes, how they're like sexual deviants or whatever. Then of course somebody released the after parties, the TPUSA after parties, which had strippers in the glass margarita bowls or whatever.
James O'Keefe was getting down.
So have you seen any of that? Particularly what I'm interested in is like the leadership, like the, you know, executive leadership. Have you seen any I mean, just to kind of tell us how these people are. I mean, you don't have to give any names. I don't want to get you in trouble, but just kind of give an example of how these people are behind the scenes. If you witnessed any of that, you know.
So, somebody that I got really close with at Turning Point, they are no longer at Turning Point. But what's disturbing to me is that oh, by the way, the people that did that to me at that conference, they got promoted after that. So a major person in leadership, well, okay, let's put it this way. There's people that currently work there that have sexual assault allegations against them currently. Now, one of the sloppy second single mothers I told you about from YWLS, this case got dismissed, but she was literally accused. I don't know how you make this crap up, but she was literally accused of propositioning sex to hire somebody. Like, if you have sex with me, I'll give you a job. Now, this is all alleged. This is allegedly. What, Baron Coleman? Allegedly. And so anyway, that case was dismissed. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but apparently she propositioned sex, and then she kidnapped this individual's 14-year-old for a certain amount of time. So she was being accused of propositioning sex for work and kidnapping someone's kid. and
that's wild.
If
and
she
still there.
Currently works there, and she's in leadership. She's like a manager at least. And also, another person in leadership that's very well regarded, they also had sexual assault allegations about them in Wisconsin. Because we went to Wisconsin for the Supreme Court race and we were door knocking and stuff, but that was swept under the rug. And the only reason why I'm bringing these cases up, well, there's several reasons, but it's public domain. Like, you can literally go look up these cases if you want to. It's all public domain. But the person that was accused of sexual assault, he's regarded very high. He's very young, and they just brushed that under the rug. I remember one of my friends that worked in another state. They called me and they said, "Did you see the scandal? Did you see that?" And there's a police report and everything. They tried. It is legitimate. There was a police report. And then apparently there was another incident in Mexico with the same people. And I don't know enough about that case, so I'm not going to say anything. But the fact that there was more than one incident with this individual, and it's just brushed under the rug. And from what I was told, when the victim came forward, she was treated like crap. She was treated like crap, and she was gaslit, and I think they even threatened her with action.
Oh, I believe it. That's what they do. They turn it around and they want to blame the victim. They all of a sudden they want to gaslight you and claim that they're the victim, and these people are making it up and drag their name through the mud. And that's been my experience as well, hearing a couple other people that I've interviewed from Turning Point, is these people are all sexual deviants. They all have done really inappropriate things at work. Another thing I hear is that they're all gay. any
I will tell you this.
You care to speak on that?
I can speak on that a lot. That guy actually, I've got to tell you this story because I laughed about it, and it's just such a typical beta male at Turning Point. So obviously I was terminated for allegedly leaking to Candace Owens, right? Well, this guy, I think he's a manager. Well, anyway, I have eyes and ears everywhere, by the way. I don't think they know that. I have eyes and ears everywhere, so I hear people report stuff to me.
I still do too, by the way. So they think they've gotten rid of all their leaks or anybody in the... Nah, we still got people inside feeding this information.
Well, Candace Owens said there's people willing to just apply and get jobs there just to be a mole. And I'm like, how are they going to combat that? That's dedication right there. That's dedication.
I
But
love it.
anyway,
Honestly, that just shows you how much people love Charlie, though. They're willing to go through that length to try to get answers, to try to infiltrate them, you know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, and that's what it is. I think about Charlie all the time, and I'm just like, he didn't deserve this, and we loved him. Whether you all did or not, we loved him. But anyway, this big homo, he wasn't mad about the fact that, like, I allegedly leaked to Candace Owens. And betrayed everybody. He was mad because he's like, Kelvia was spreading her lies. She was spreading rumors that I was gay. And I was like, bitch, I've been calling you gay since I started working here. That's old news. Like, I've been saying that since you've been working here. And I was like, of course, only that homo would make all of this about himself. He made all of it about himself, and it's just like, you're not mad that I potentially betrayed the company, but you're mad that I said I spread rumors that you were gay. And I'll tell you one thing, they are scared of that topic. They are scared of that topic. I had my enterprise director, which I'll connect this a little later on. He started writing me up something, and he's like, this person's spreading lies on X. Do they really think that we're all gay like that? Like, this is disturbing. And then he deleted the message. Which, by the way, like I said, you can make inferences. I think, you can make inferences, but I will tell you this. After I left there, not only did he wipe all of our Telegram messages, he wiped his iPhone. Like, he wiped his iPhone of his and I's conversations. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could do that. That's strange. Honestly, you told me, and didn't you tell me that they actually went? Actually, yeah, we'll get into that next. How you were terminated, but didn't you tell me that they took your phone from you?
Yeah, they put it in a drawer because they didn't want me doing anything with it.
And that wasn't your work phone either. That was your personal phone, correct?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, it's like I said. I kind of wanted to see how far they were going to take this interrogation. I wanted to see like how far they would take it. So I gave him my phone, and he put it in the drawer, and it was in the drawer the whole time. But then he wanted to go through my phone. Frank Carney, the guy, the head of the legal team, he wanted to go through my phone, and I was like, no, you put it up, and I'm not showing you my phone anyway.
He actually had the nerve to ask you to go through your phone. He wanted to go through your personal phone.
Well, he said, is there any videos or photos that we can see that you want to show us? And I was like, no.
That's a weird question.
But, yeah. What were we?
But yeah, you want to.
What did you say?
We were getting into the how your termination came about.
Yes. So,
obviously you were fired during the mass, the wave of mass firings with their paranoia. Everybody's speaking to Candace Owens, and you were one of them that got hit in that round. And we're not going to go into whether you were actually talking to her or not, because that's irrelevant. And honestly, it doesn't even matter. But we'll just go ahead into how that came about. I'll let you tell your story on that.
Right. So 3 weeks after Charlie died, it was October 1st. And that's kind of when the harassment started. I'll refer to it as harassment because, I mean, that's essentially what it is. There was a guy that I was affiliated with, and I was assigned a project with him while I was working at Turning Point. Mind you, they hired this guy. Like, this guy worked for us. Like, he was like a ballot chaser, but he worked for us. And they introduced me to him. He was in Young Republicans, he was in Log Cabin Republicans, and he was very involved. And but I post one day, I make a post on X about that poor Ukrainian girl that was stabbed on the subway. That story really upset me, so I was vocal about it. And I tagged this individual. I'm just going to refer to them as a third party. I tagged this third party. 5 seconds later, Tyler Boyer likes that post. And then, like 5 minutes later, he starts following this individual. This individual is like, oh, Tyler Boyer just started following me. And then about 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from my direct supervisor. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, what do you know about this person? What's your relationship with this person? And I was like, I mean, we're political friends. Like, we've met in Arizona politics. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, he's posting awful stuff about Turning Point, and he's spreading lies and all this other stuff. And I was like, I mean, that's his opinion. And you and I both know that he was just giving his opinion that something smelled weird with this whole case. And he's just like, this doesn't, he was just giving his opinion. And I guess you could say he was kind of doing a smear campaign, but he was making stuff on TikTok against. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's called free speech. You think like for them to be worried about what you're, just like, you can't, to me, Charlie was all about free speech. Okay. He specifically said that there's no such thing as hate speech. There is, that's what the First Amendment is there to protect, is all speech, including especially, speech that people find distasteful, they do not like, all that stuff. That's really telling that that shows you that their mindset, that they do not hold the same values as Charlie whatsoever. If they're trying to persecute you just because of your association with somebody else who said something that they didn't agree with.
Yeah, and this was just guilty by association is what this was. Yeah, guilty by association. So he kept pressing me, and he's like, what is your relationship with this person? And mind you, I had a Telegram chat with him and another person in leadership, and we talked about this individual because this individual was going to run for mayor in a certain area. They were going to run for mayor. And I was like, it's not my fault that you all didn't vet him properly. It's not my fault. You all hired him. You didn't vet him properly. That's not my problem. And I can't control a grown person's actions. I have no control over this person. Well, anyway, he's like, I'm just trying to figure out why you would tag him in a post. And I was like, okay, whatever. So he told me, he's like, Kelvia, I'm gonna write you up for this. I'm going to have to write you up for this. And he said, and I have to document that we talked about this. And I was just so blown away. I'm still dealing with the shock that the leader of our entire movement was just publicly executed. And I was just, I had no energy.
That was, that was only like 2 weeks. I think you said it was like 2 weeks after is when that happened. 3 weeks after that happened, and you think that they wouldn't make any decisions on trying to hire or fire anybody, for at least like a year. People, your leader of the organization just got assassinated violently in front of you for everybody to watch. You think you think those people's jobs would be safe for a little while, but no, and apparently not. It's disgusting. And then on top of that, like I said, just just because of association. They want to. You didn't even say anything crazy, or just because of your association with this person. It's wild.
Yeah, but this is the
And it's
communism I'm
wrong.
talking about. This is the communism I'm talking about. Like, once Charlie died, it's like they built up the gates around Turning Point, literally. I know that project was already in place, but you know what I mean? Like, they literally built a gate with guards and stuff outside of like the headquarters, and I wasn't even allowed to go in. Like, I worked there and they were like, we need to see your ID. I even had someone vouch for me, and they're like, she works here. She actually works here. And this was after Charlie passed away. But anyway, no, free speech is not a thing. Like free speech is just like, yeah, you can talk freely, but you'll get a talking to or disciplinary action.
And
And
it seems like especially after he died, it seems like they have completely shut down the people that work there, like you guys, the employees of Turning Point. Anybody who has a differing opinion, they want a hive mentality. If you do not eat the Fed slop, believe everything they say, then you can't work there. You're not allowed to have any kind of opinion whatsoever, or else you're going to be terminated. And that's so wrong. And it goes against everything that Charlie ever stood for. But anyway,
yeah,
go ahead, so you can continue.
yeah. So he said he was going to write me up, and he said, I'm going to email it to you. You have a day to respond to it and sign it. And I was like, okay. I have like no motivation. I'm at an all-time low because of Charlie's death, and I'm like, whatever, just do whatever you need to do. And then he calls me back like 30 minutes, and that's what he does. This director is something else. He was raised within Turning Point. Does that make sense? A lot of these people started at Turning Point as like kids, like 17 years old, or when Charlie first started, and they were raised through Turning Point. And, depending on who they modeled or who they, as they got promoted and higher up, it's like they're trained to be a certain way. They're trained to be a certain way. And he calls me back about 30 minutes to an hour later, and he's like, Kelvia, I've decided I'm not going to write you up. So he did that bad cop, good cop thing. He did that good cop, bad cop thing. And that's typical, that's typical Turning Point leadership, like the gaslighting, the good cop, bad cop thing. And he told me one time, which I thought was pretty stupid. He was like, you know what I like to do, Kelvia? I like to catch people off guard. That's why I don't like to set up meetings. I like to catch people off guard and scare them and get them all in a, and I was like, why would you tell me your MO? That's stupid. Now I know your MO. So it's like, when you called me, you were trying to catch me off guard. You're trying to scare me.
These people are stupid. They're literally stupid.
These people are corny. These are corny ass people. And so anyway, he's like,
immature too.
Very immature. And think about it. It's a young people's organization. And then the people there that are older, they act like 25-year-olds. So it cancels that out. There's no like adult authority because they all act like 25-year-olds.
Worse than that, they act like 14-year-olds. I mean, you could see it in the post this weekend. Andrew Colbert showed me, you fat boy, calling me fat boy and stuff. I'm like, that's something a 14-year-old would do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all they have. That's what they have to default to. They have to name call. And it's the same thing that they said about the left during the 2024 election. All you all do is name call and ad hominem attacks. That's exactly how they're handling this right now. Exactly. So
exactly. Calling Candace demonic and everything. 100%.
Remind me about that later. I'll tell you something about that, as a matter of fact. But so he told me he wasn't going to write me up. He said he'd thought about things, and he said, I think you're innocent. And I know you don't believe in the Candace stuff. He's like, I know you don't believe in the Candace stuff. And I was like, yeah, I know. She's a lame-o. As I was talking to him, I think that I had her face paused on my TV actually, and I was thinking about like the irony of that. But
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, he's like, I'm not going to write you up, but don't tell anyone about this conversation. And he said, do not tell anyone about this conversation because it just wouldn't look good. So, yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. And that's kind of when I had a few other employees, which I don't know if leadership put them up to do it, but I had a few employees reach out to me. Don't you know this person? You know, the person that started the third party, the one that started the smear campaign and had his own opinion about Turning Point after Charlie died. They're like, don't you know this person? Isn't this your friend? Like, did you see what he posted? Like, I felt like they were trying to, you know.
Oh, they were definitely setting you up. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, there was, and it was women, which I can't stand women, especially like those middle-aged menopausal women I was telling you about. I can't stand
They're
them.
all catty.
And they were they're Karens and they're catty and they have nothing else better to do. And they were the ones messaging me. And when leadership comes around, they're like this. When leadership comes around. And so they'll do anything. They're like, hey, we need you to text Kelvia and like get some information. You think you can do, they would be all over that. To win brownie points, they would be all over that. So anyway, that happened and that kind of started the harassment about that third party that I was affiliated with. And that leads to my termination. So Christmas happens. I have a nice Christmas. Oh, go ahead.
You didn't hear. Okay, so that happened like 3 weeks after Charlie died, and that kind of blew over. And then it was fine. You didn't have any other problems up until you're saying Christmas time, then, right?
Yeah, Christmas was because we had America Fest, which is our annual convention. That's every December, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
You went to that, right?
Oh, I had to work it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got some questions about their events we'll get to afterwards, but I'll go ahead and let you finish your story about termination.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you about that. So yeah, the waters were calm for a little while. I had a great Christmas, went back to Kentucky, everything was normal. I was actually terminated on January 6th, which I think is hilarious. That's when the date I was terminated was January 6th. But we had a training at headquarters and I was on the legacy team. So we work out in the field. It's almost like a hybrid position because we do all our administrative work at home, but we go out in the field and we table and we canvas and go to meetings and events and everything. Well, we had a training after America Fest and they set me up. They set me up on this too. Like, I'm sure they thought of this whole plot and they were rubbing their hands together. Oh, we're going to get her. We're going to get her. So we were in the training and all of a sudden, Frank Carney, do you know who that is? Their legal team person.
Yeah, I know who he is. And I also, he was in the one video that was released. I think Aubrey, is it Aubrey the one that released it? One of them released a video of him. So,
well, he was the one that did all the firings, and all the firing, I was the only one. To my knowledge, I was the only one that was fired from Turning Point Action. To my knowledge, I was the only one. USA was the one that kind of did the mass purge. But I think that I was the only interrogation. Of course, I didn't sit in on all the interrogations, but they actually brought up Candace. Like, I knew the reason why I was terminated. They won't say why I was terminated, but I know the reason. But anyway, so all of a sudden in the middle of training, him and this HR girl, Haley Boomenshire, they come in there. Kelvia Campbell, can we talk to you, please? And I was like, oh God, I had a feeling. I was like getting up. I wanted to get up out of my chair like that. And I had about 45 seconds to gather my thoughts because we went from one side of the building to another. And I was like, I bet this is about that third party, that the guilty by association thing. So they take me in the conference room and he's like, wait, let me have your phone. And I was like, why do you need my phone for? And he's like, just because. And I was like, okay. So he took my phone and he put it in the drawer. And I actually looked into this. It is legal. Like if HR is conducting an investigation, they can take your phone, but there's limitations to it. They can't, you know what I mean? They can't keep it for an extensive amount of time. And it just has to be like the duration of your meeting. You know what I mean? And
I don't know.
he took it.
I mean, I would have told them, hell no. I wouldn't have gave it up, period, personally.
Yeah, a lot
But
of
then
people
again,
say
at
that,
the time, you probably didn't know whether you were going to be fired at the time or what. But I mean, if they ask you for your phone, that's kind of like to me, that would be a pretty strong indicator of what's about to happen, you know?
Yeah, so we sat down and like I said, it was like SVU. It was some Law and Order SVU shit, and that, you know, the whole good cop bad cop thing. And he's like, yeah, we know all about it. Like, you know, did you post this stuff? They think that third party who was talking crap about them on TikTok and stuff, they believe that I provided them with material like photos, videos, text messages. They believe that was me that did that with the third party. And he was like, yeah. He's like, we saw it. We saw your messages. We saw your pictures and your videos. He said, didn't you know all your stuff's all over the internet? Didn't you know that? And he said, the disgusting things. I described him in my last interview. I said, this little piggly face some bitch. And that's a good way to describe him. He's this little piggly face some bitch. And it's funny because a British dude called in to my last interview and he's like, what about the piggly man? The piggly man you were talking about.
That's hilarious.
Man. And I know, I was like, but anyway, he was getting all puffed up and red, and he's like, the disgusting things you said about Erica and people here, and there's people getting death threats because of you.
Oh, so once again, it's all your fault. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they turn it around. We're the victim.
Yeah, and they're just like, have you talked to someone's producer? Huh? And I was like, I was so confused. And he's like, have you talked to Candace someone's producer? And I was like, no, like, how the heck would I get a hold of Candace? Yeah, I have her on speed dial. But anyway, so yeah, they said that I was responsible for.
They're so paranoid.
Threats. They're very paranoid. And he told me, he's like, I'm going to ask you again. Have you talked to media, a reporter, a journalist, anything? And I said, no, we're not allowed to. And he's like, he kept getting mad. He was so mad. He was like, what about a producer? I was like, no. And I straight up told him. So I was planning on quitting. I told my direct supervisor at America Fest that I was done. I said, I can't, after America Fest, and I saw that ghastly performance, I was like, I'm done. I can't work here anymore. I told my enterprise director, I said, Charlie's gone. I actually loved him and I actually tried to live by his philosophies, unlike everyone else. And I said, I miss him and it's just not the same without him. I mean, how could it be? There's no turning point without Charlie Kirk. So anyway, I told,
Hold on. And that, I just want to say something. And that's what they don't realize. They think that they can go on. They think that nothing's changed. They think they can ignore all the base, and say they can just, say, oh, it's just a bunch of leftists that hate us. It's just a bunch of leftists saying that. No, it's not. No. It's Charlie's people. It's his own base. It's people like you. It's people like me. It's people that watch the show. It's people that were his fans. It's people that love him. And he was turning point. There is no turning point without him. Yeah, they might have gotten, infused with $200 million or whatever, out of people, using emotional blackmail or whatever. But when it comes down to it, once that money runs out, they're done, because it's not the same thing. They will not survive without Charlie. I mean, you can see that in the ratings of the show, Turning Point show, the Charlie Kirk show. I mean, they dropped down from number one way, way, way down to the bottom,
Yeah, what do they like at 300 now?
It's way down there. Honestly, they're probably to the point where it's not even showing on the list anymore. That's how low they're getting.
Good. Well, it just amazes me. They refuse to take Charlie out of the show title because they know if they take him out, they'll drop to like 1,000. They know that, if they take his name out of it.
And that pisses me. And that, honestly, that's the number one thing. Besides, I say it all the time, besides whether you believe anything else that we're saying about whether you believe the Fed slop narrative, whatever, the number one problem that people have is they are still posting from a dead man's account. They're still using the ghost of Charlie. You could see it with the chapter members that keep speaking out and resigning and stuff. They're using Charlie's ghost, and it makes people sick. It's in bad taste, and it makes people sick, and they just ignore that. The people I've watched the comments in their live stream all the time, every day. The same thing. People stop using his name, stop using his channel, stop posting from his social media, but they just ignore it all.
Do you remember Erica literally said that they weren't going to do that? She said that's weird and tone deaf.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it is. It is weird. You're right. But no. And that's another thing. You know how we said, like, if it's not true, you wouldn't, if it's not true, then why are you so mad? Well, it's just like, Candace has the #1 global podcast and you all are like 300. So like, what does that say? What does that say? That means, you know what their problem is? They think that they have fooled their audience. They think that they've outsmarted their audience because they are the arrogance of the people there. I mean, it's just, they wouldn't even think that people would ever think something different because they're smarter. And, Charlie Kirk started this organization and, you have to keep up his legacy. So you can't entertain. If you entertain any other narrative or theory, they'll call you crazy. They call you mentally ill and they'll tell you to go touch grass.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Just like they're calling Candace demonic or whatever. And, and then all of a sudden, and you could tell it's clearly a coordinated paid campaign that they're running, because then the same usual suspects chime in, all saying the same thing. All the pastors that are affiliated with the Turning Point faith, they're all saying the same thing. Candace is demonic and she's evil. Like they think we're stupid that we don't see it. We all see that it's all just propaganda. It's all fake and gay, You know
what? I thought about that. She started the whole fake and gay thing. I was like one day I woke up when I started realizing things. I was at Turning Point and I was like, everything is literally fake and gay. That's a perfect way to describe this place. Well, I'll finish the termination story, and then speaking of calling Candace demonic, well, that's a great segue into the next thing I was going to say. But so I told him, I said, look, I was planning on talking to Tyler Boyer today. I'm leaving, like on my own accord. I plan on leaving Turning Point. But, you know, they had to make a scene about it. They had to call me out in front of everybody during that training. They had to do an interrogation. You know, they're beta males, so they're drama queens. It has to be a whole drama thing. So I told him, I said, I plan on quitting anyway. And he's like, well, we don't know if termination is in the equation yet. I said, okay. And so basically he told me, he's like, this is your last chance. Did you talk to Candace Owens' producer? And I was like, no. And then I finally told him, I'm not talking anymore. You know, these are some pretty heavy allegations, and I'm not saying anything else without legal representation. I was like, you keep accusing me of this stuff.
Good for you.
I said no.
Yep.
So he was acting like we were under oath. This is your last chance, you know, to tell the truth or whatever. And I'm like, he's not licensed here, by the way. I think he's licensed in Texas. So I don't know if conducting these mass firings is considered practicing, but that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say. But he kept asking me, he was like, are you going to tell us you want to share some statements or some messages you have between Candace and her producer? And I was like, no. I said, no, not without legal representation. No, I'm not saying anything else. So finally he gave up and he was like, well, you have to leave the building. And I was like, okay. He's like, we're going to escort you out of the building. And I said, okay. Like, I went and gathered my stuff out of the training room, and he escorted me out, and I was like, peace. And I've never been back ever since. And I didn't even know, like, if I was exactly, they never told me I was terminated. I didn't know that I was terminated until I got home and I got a termination confirmation email.
Honestly, it's because they're pussies. They can't tell you right to your face, you know?
No,
that's what it is. They're beta males. They're pussies.
Yeah. And so the enterprise director and the COO, of course, neither one of them had the balls to say anything to me. I'm sure their attorney told them, you know, not to say anything to me, don't interact with me. But yeah, I'm like, they're not going to say shit to me. They don't, you know, they're not going to come say anything to my face, which they didn't when I was in the interrogation. It was just me, Frank, and that HR girl. That's it.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that was pretty much it in a nutshell. And I found out later on, after I was terminated, they actually went after some of the people that they thought were my friends. They also interrogated them about me. I found that out later on. And my direct supervisor told them, they said, we don't have time for that. You know, I'm sorry that she was, you know, some of you were friends with her, but we just can't deal with that. And he said that I would try to video them, not to talk to me, not to engage with me, because I would video them or try to gather evidence. And he told them, if Kelvia reaches out to you, you let me know, like, report it to me.
That's like other level paranoia. Like, they are insane. That's so wild.
But they
wipe. Honestly, what it does is it screams a cult to me. It's cult-like mentality. Yeah. To me, that screams it's a cult.
Yeah, and I don't think they realize that. And I think the people that have been there long term, it's just ingrained in them now. It's just second nature to them now. Like, you know, we don't talk about that, or you're not supposed to do that. And my enterprise director, he got to this point where I was like, why is he acting like this is the military? He was like, when I ask you to do something, I don't want to hear a yes and. I just want to hear yes. He's like, there's a difference between yes and yes and.
They're crazy. There's a
I
comment here,
know.
and I think this is a good one too. It says, Kelvia, put your termination from TPUSA on your resume. It is bound to be a plus on most new job prospects.
I might consider that. I'll make another resume and have a nice little description.
They're not liked now. It probably would be a positive because they're not well liked by anybody anymore, especially after Erica Kirk at the helm and everything that she's done. All her fake cheers and staged events.
Yeah, I heard that they're having like sign-on bonuses now. You know that means that you suck.
Yeah, they're desperate. Honestly, it's a wonder that they're hiring anybody at all because they're so paranoid. You know, they're.
That's what I was saying. I don't know how you would combat that unless you did like a thorough FBI background check or monitored these people's social media for a while. You know what I mean?
Well, I would be scared to even try to work. Like if I were just a random person, I would be scared to get a job at Turning Point, especially now because we know they're in bed with the Trump administration, with Kash Patel and all them. I mean, they had the what's his name? The guy that, not Lutnick, the other guy that runs not the IRS and stuff, but they had him write a letter saying, "Oh, the Turning Point has not, there's no fraud. Their 990s are looking perfect. There's no fraud at Turning Point." I'm like, how would this guy even know that? I mean, it's wild to me.
Oh, is it Scott
Besson?
Did you say Scott
Besson? Yes, that's his name. I couldn't. It was. I was blanking on it. But yeah, Scott Besson. They got accused of a bunch of stuff by Wolves of Finance, so they just called in a favor to Scott Besson, who just wrote up a glowing letter for them saying there's no fraud and everything was turned in on time, which it wasn't. It's a lie, and it's wild to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would be scared. My point on that is I would be scared because, if they're in bed with the administration, then, like you said, they probably do have like the FBI wiretapping them and tracking their phones and their social media, looking for anybody who might be speaking out. There's actually another person that was just arrested recently. Hold on, let me find the guy's name. I forget off the top of my head. Give me a second.
What was he arrested for?
It was Jonathan JC. Hold on, give me a second. It is it is Jonathan. Let me find it. Jonathan Kagels. Yeah, Jonathan Kagels was arrested. He used to work for TPUSA, and he was arrested recently over cyber threats. But what we think the real reason they arrested him for was because of leaking information from Turning Point, and that's why they targeted him and arrested him.
Ooh.
So I would be scared to work for Turning Point in this current climate, for that reason alone, just the surveillance state that they would be under, And like I said, it's a cult mentality. Erica's like, we're all a family. I want you to be part of the family.
Hey, stop. I have brown eyes. I can't pull that look off very well.
Yeah, it's wild. Now, honestly, nobody can. It's like, that's why I think she's like an alien or like an android or something. There's something weird about her for sure.
This is all, Colin. This is all a psyop anyway.
It it really is. We're all living in the matrix. We really are. We're all living in the
I want you
matrix.
to know. I want you to know, I completely changed. I was never a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if I would even call myself a conspiracy theorist. I just look at evidence. I have my personal experience with Turning Point. I worked there for 2 years full time. I have that experience. And then when I look at the investigation and the stuff that you have uncovered, Candace, Baron Coleman, True Sword, when I see the stuff you all have uncovered, it's like, well, yeah, that matches. That aligns with what I know to be true. So if you don't mind, I think this is the last thing I'm going to end with. I haven't talked to anybody. Well, we don't have to end, but this is really the last thing that I have to say. I haven't really talked to anybody about this, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So after YWLS, after that women's conference where they created a coup against me and tried to get me fired, I lost a lot of respect for leadership because I set up a meeting with somebody very high up in leadership. And I think it takes a lot after you were accused of all that at a conference and, your job was threatened. I think it takes a lot to go to someone high up in leadership and set up a meeting with them. That's not necessarily what the meeting was about, but he brought it up. I was just thinking about maybe moving around in the company, maybe seeing what my options were. After 2 years of being in the field, maybe I could swap out for the office or something. And I want you to know, he threw it in my face. He's like, well, getting security called on you at a convention isn't a real good start now, is it? And so he completely took their narrative. And then, I said, look, just for the record, I just want you to know that none of that happened. This is untrue. None of that happened. And you know what he says? He's like, that's for you and your director to deal with. That's for you all to deal with. So it's just like, I sat there and I told him to his face, I didn't do this. I didn't do this stuff. And so that's when I lost respect for them. Because it was important enough for the administrative director to call me, the enterprise director to call me about it. And obviously he believed the people that falsely reported me. So I just felt like the team was against me at that point. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I feel that way? And to reiterate, I know a lot of people think that like I'm a traitor or whatever to the company. But after what I've told you, like, would you really defend these people? Why would I feel inclined to defend these people? I know how they are. So, no, you're not my friend. You're not loyal to me. So, I don't know. I felt like a lone wolf there for a while. But you were talking about how they say Candace is demonic. Well, when I had a meeting with this person in leadership, I brought Candace up because I was curious. And mind you, I was still kind of brainwashed at this point. I was like, and it was because of Charlie. I was like, we're pro-Israel, we're pro-Israel, we're this, and that was my mentality. Well, I asked this person, I said, what's the deal with Candace Owens? Like, what's her deal? Like, why is she speaking against the narrative? And why is she so anti-Israel? And what's going on? And you know what he said? He said, she's a black conservative, and black conservatives are conspiracy theorists.
What does that even mean? That is just so weird and so racist, honestly.
I know. I was like, oh man, did you hear about that case where that girl got in trouble at Turning Point for like saying the N-word in messages or something?
Yeah, and
Did you hear
honestly,
about
that
that?
was yep, and that was actually a setup because that person was. I got a story coming out on that soon, but they're connected to the Koch brothers, and that was
Mm.
what got Andrew Colvett's foot in the door in the first place to be able to become the PR guy or whatever. So that was definitely a setup. But go ahead, whatever you're going to say about it.
Yeah, yeah. So the individual that I'm talking to, I think he was a part of that. You know what I mean? Like
Ah,
get, and I'm just like, well, that's rich. But anyway, so he kind of started freaking out a little bit, and he's like, we don't have Jewish donors like that. Like he just starts freaking out and he's like, we don't have Jewish donors like that. We only have like one or two. He's like, if we had Jewish donors, you would know. He's like, they would be here. They would be around. And I was like we would see like yarmulkes. Like that's what you're talking about? Like yarmulkes everywhere. And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, but their names would be on the side of the buildings. And I'm like, aren't they? Am I just, yeah, am I just imagining this? So, yeah, he was just like, no, it's not like that. And I was like, well, what about APAC? He goes, it's all lie. None of that's true. It's all lie. And I was like, okay, like, why are you freaking out? That's what I was thinking. Like, why are you freaking out right now? But anyway, like I said, I was brainwashed. I was brainwashed at that point, and I told him, I said, man, I was just like, good thing that I'm here with Turning Point, and I'm obviously a Charlie follower, and if I hadn't worked here, I might have fallen down that Candace rabbit hole. But I meant it. I meant that at the time. I was like, yeah, she's evil. And he even told me, he was like, Satan is what is wrong with her. So it's one of those things where I'm like, Candace said that you all call her demonic and that, she's satanic. Well, I actually witnessed a leadership say that. So it's like when you put things together and they align, I mean, and he also told me, he said, let me tell you something. He's like, all my years I've been in politics, whoever goes against Israel, it does not end well for them. It does not
yeah,
go
that's
well
what
for
it's
them.
really about. That's all it's about. They want to protect their donors. They want to protect their money, and like I know certain people at that organization. I don't want to use names. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I know certain people at that organization are really involved in politics, and they're definitely jockeying for a position, to become high up in the RNC leadership, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's no way to do that at this time without being a Israel supporter and taking money from APAC. If you don't, then they'll just primary you and get rid of you. Um, and that's a problem, So it is real. Them trying to gaslight you and say, "Oh, it's all lies. It doesn't exist." It's a big problem. And I honestly, I was not. I was starting right a little bit before Charlie was assassinated. Is when I started to wake up to like the APAC thing and how big APAC was a problem. How big of a problem it was. But I had never, even at that time, I wasn't like anti-Israel or anti-Jewish people or anything. I'm still not anti-Jewish people. I don't say all Jewish people are bad. I
No,
just
of course not.
that definitely woke me up, especially after Charlie died. That woke me up even more, though, that APAC is a problem. And the Israel lobby is a major problem, and especially Benjamin Netanyahu and his party, the Likud party. They are evil. They are a big problem. They are the true evil ones. They want to call Candace evil and demonic. Netanyahu and the Likud party, they're the ones that are truly evil. They're the ones out there committing genocide. They're the ones out there indiscriminately bombing people. They're the ones out there trying to psyop everybody into trusting them.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I fed into all that. And I was just like, okay, so we're Zionist. I mean, this person straight up told me I am a Zionist. And so, I think they just thought that I was a dumb country bumpkin from Kentucky, which that's fine. I've actually used that to my advantage. So that's great. Keep thinking that I'm a dumb redneck. That's fine. But anyway, yeah, straight up told me they were a Zionist. And this is what I'll end on. This is the last thing I'll say about it. I asked him, I asked them, I said, is Charlie a Zionist? Because, I wasn't really familiar with this at this point. And I said, is Charlie a Zionist? And he hesitated. He wouldn't say one way or the other. And I was like, huh. So is he? I never got that answer.
That's weird. Especially because at the beginning they were, when Charlie first died, they just couldn't stop fawning over themselves to say how much of a Zionist he was and how much he loved Israel. And then they were attacking Candace, who was the only one that was correcting the record at that time,
Yeah, who was that guy, that Jewish guy that was trying to grift and sell his book off of Charlie's death?
Oh, it's the other, not Ben Shapiro. Yeah, not Ben Shapiro, but it's the other one that looks kind of like him.
Hammer?
Oh, yeah, Josh Hammer. Yeah, that's his name, Josh Hammer.
Yeah. Josh Hammer. Yeah, he was like, yeah, Charlie's last dying wish was that you buy my book. I was just like, seriously? And by the way, Turning Point staff did that. Whatever local race or whatever we were working on, they're like, it was Charlie's last dying wish to get this city council woman out and replace her with our candidate. They would go door to door because I went door knocking with my leadership. And, this is really what Charlie wanted. He didn't give a hot diggity damn pancake about that local city council race. He did not care. I mean, you know what I mean? He would have talked about it extensively on his show, I think, that if he really, but anyway, that's what they would say. Like, it bothered me that they would use his name to like emotionally manipulate and guilt people. That really bothered me. And that was one of the last straws for me.
Gotcha. I'm gonna say that's what I've heard from some of the other employees that I've talked to as well. The emotional blackmail they use with trying to use his ghost. That's something that turned them all off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
there you have it. That was
awesome.
My experience with them.
Quite the experience, I must say.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's all God's will. I've actually started going. This is a big deal for me. Actually, I go to church regularly again. I'm getting involved in a really good church. The pastor actually, after Charlie died, he completely changed. And he's like, no, this church has to be a part of the political fight because, a lot of churches will not get involved in politics. And my pastor's like, no, after Charlie died, we have to get involved. Like, this is a fight now. And I think you understand, as well as the next person, this is a spiritual war. This isn't about elephant, donkey, red, blue anymore. This is a spiritual war. This is good and evil. And I think we're seeing some of the darker side. And, it's like Elon Musk said about Charlie. He's like, he was the light and the darkness got him. That's what happened. And yeah, I don't see it as Republican or Democrat or anything anymore. I see it as good and evil. Just like I said in my interview, I think good will conquer evil in the end.
I completely agree. It's not, honestly, there is no Republican or Democrat party. We have a uniparty swamp is what we have. They're all the swamp. They're all the same party. They're just different ends of the same party is really it. And they're all controlled by Israel. Both Republicans, Democrats, they're all controlled by Israel. And that's just the sad reality of it. And it
Yeah,
is good
when you
versus
took the
evil.
math. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it is definitely good versus evil. It's a spiritual battle. Um, I mean, and they're so brazen now. Like just the fact that they used to hide all that. They used to hide this what they were doing and do it in the shadows. And now they're just outright telling you. They're telegraphing what they're doing. They're in your face with it. It's like they don't care anymore. It's like they're flaunting it. And we will win, though. God always wins. Good always triumphs, and God is on our side
Yep.
with this 100%.
Yeah, we have God and the truth on our side. I think we have God and the truth on our side.
And the truth, yep, 100%.
The truth will set you free, and that's what I said about Candace Owens. I was like, the truth will set you free. That's kind of the Bible verse that's been motivating me, and I do like it is scary, but at the same time, I think people like you and I, and the people that are seeking the truth, fighting for the truth, doing their own personal investigations, you all are very necessary. Very necessary. Like, like when he first started and he was standing alone, everybody thought he was crazy with his little table on campus. Like, we need those types of people now. And, you talked about having a GoFundMe. I stress this to people. I'm like, just because these podcasters and independent journalists, they don't say anything, they're constantly being attacked. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Some of you have received a cease and desist letter, and it's like, that's the tactic they're using now. Oh, you've gotten 2. Congratulations.
I'm the only one, to my knowledge, that has actually gotten 2 of them.
Well, I might get one after this, so we'll be in the cease and desist party. But yeah, no, I believe in donating to you all and because you all take time and resources away from your family, away from your adult responsibilities, and you're all we got. I mean, Kash Patel said the FBI is on standby with the state of Utah, and I don't think the state of Utah is doing much. So it's that back and forth thing. Well, the FBI, is supposed to do something. Well, the state of Utah, it's up to the state. So you all are absolutely necessary, and you're very appreciated.
Well, thank you for saying that. It definitely has been hard, especially lately. Unfortunately, I'm trying this new thing out, how Coach Colin has the buy me a coffee thing. I decided to kind of do my own thing by setting up this fundraiser, and anybody who leaves a comment, it's kind of like a way to super chat, the buy me a coffee thing, where I'll read it out at the end of the show like they do. So we're going to try that out, but it's definitely been hard because X is my only income, and I don't talk about it much because I don't want them to think that they've won or they've gotten to me. But it definitely it's hurt me significantly financially. They've definitely made it very, very tough to be able to survive and keep going. But I refuse to quit regardless. I'll be homeless in the street before I will stop posting and investigating this case. It will not stop me. And I just want them to know that, you might be able to bankrupt me, but you will not ever stop me from going after the truth ever. But we honestly, we can't do it. We can't do it without the help of you guys, the audience, the people that support independent creators like myself. When you guys donate, when you guys share, even just share my videos, send a like, leave a comment, it all helps because there's been a significant war, especially against us on X. Me in particular, they've cut my reach down, my views by 80%. They've cut my revenue down by 80%, and this is just since January. and they're trying to they couldn't get us with they couldn't shame us into stopping, so now they think they're going to get us by not emotional, by blackmailing, not blackmailing, by bankrupting. That's what I meant, bankrupt. They think they can get us by bankrupting us, but I just want to let them know it's not going to work.
No, and I don't have a platform yet, but I don't have a platform, but they're not going to shut me up either. They're not going to shut me up.
You have an X, and I want everybody to make sure you go follow her. I'll drop it in the chat again for everybody here, but follow Kelvia on X. Hers is at Conservative KFC. That's her X handle. I'll drop it in the chat for you guys. But yeah, I mean, definitely you should speak out more on it. People would love to hear what you have to say, would love to hear your opinion, because you have a unique perspective as someone who's worked within Turning Point. So you have a unique perspective, a unique viewpoint that a lot of people would like to hear. And honestly, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and everything happens for a reason. I'm a big proponent of that. And if God closes one chapter, He opens up another one. And this might be your, 100%. This might be your opportunity to now start your own social media, and you can have your own podcast and be self-employed and do your own thing, And I think I think you would find the audience very easily.
Well, I appreciate that. I look up to people like you all. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I was a little nervous about texting you just because, now my page won't be quite as exciting as yours, maybe. But yeah, I want people to be aware. And I really hope people take this GoFundMe seriously, because we cannot lose voices like yours. Because, I don't think people understand how much free speech is being threatened right now. That is a basic, First Amendment right, and people don't realize people are being silenced that you don't even know about. And if people like you don't stand up for it, we've got to support you all financially, whatever. We've got not just be your audience. We've got to support you all so they can't wipe you out and they can't silence you. And that's my goal.
God bless you for saying that. I appreciate it. And it's the truth. I don't talk about it much because I don't want to look needy or be like the one, asking for help. But, the truth is we can't do it without you guys. That's just simple as that. We can't do what we do without support. Candace can't do it without people buying her products, super chatting her. Same thing, That's just the truth. That's the reality of it. If you want independent journalists, if you want people that are independent and aren't beholden to follow the narrative of the mainstream media, then that you got to support us. So,
yeah. And everybody knows that Charlie, that was one of his biggest things, was the First Amendment, freedom of speech.
That's why this channel, honestly, that's why I started this channel, Project Constitution, because the First Amendment is paramount to everything. Honestly, it's the most important amendment. Without speech, you have nothing else. Without speech, you go immediately to arms. Speech is everything. It's paramount.
Yeah. Yep. And the last thing I'm going to say, I promise. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the last thing I'll say is, whoever's watching this or whoever's on the fence, pray for discernment. That's what I pray for these days. Pray for discernment, because we live in a deceptive time right now. And you'll see wolves in sheep's clothing, and you'll see people like Laura Loomer. They will tell you till they're blue in the face, Candace is evil. I'm in the right. You need to be listening to me. Like, you're going to be, these days, you're faced with so many different things. You don't even know what the truth is anymore. And I want people to know, please pray for discernment right now to protect yourself.
I agree 100%. And I tell people all the time, do your own research. Don't take anybody's word for anything, whether it be me, Candace, anybody. Don't take anybody's word for it. You can take what we say as the basis, but then fact check it. Go through, look at the facts for yourself, and make your own determination. Don't be a sheep for anybody. Look at the facts yourself and make your own educated judgment on what's going on with everything. That's the only way that you can really be educated and know what's going on in this world.
100%. And honestly, I feel like, a lot of good things can happen from horrible things. And I think Charlie's death, not only did it start a revival in this country, but I think he wants everybody to find their purpose. About what they're supposed to get to do as a stewardess of God, or whatever. He always said, don't do what you love, do what you're good at. Let God use you. God used me. And that was his whole thing. But honestly, I know, there's people in the comments that are going to be like, oh, she's just a disgruntled employee. She's just bitter about her situation. Actually, no, I hate to tell the haters that, this is the happiest I've been since before Charlie died. And I feel like I am on the path to my purpose now. And I definitely, I want to live up to his expectation, and I want to find my purpose and live it out, because I know that's what he would want.
Likewise, honestly, like investigating Charlie's death, this is my purpose. God showed me my purpose. When Charlie died, absolutely. I've had two very vivid dreams, where God was talking to me and telling me that I needed to look into this case. I needed to investigate. It's not what it seems. And from that point, I kind of built on that, and he was right. And this is my purpose, and that's why I'm so headstrong in it. I don't care. You could send me as many cease and desist letters as you want. You can come try to lock me up. You can come. I don't care. You can do anything you want, but you will not stop me. Short of killing me, you will not stop me, because this is my purpose. I know my purpose. God has made it crystal clear to me what my purpose is, and this is my purpose.
100%. And I agree with you. It is your purpose. And if you feel led to it, yeah, I really do. And yeah, I think Charlie speaks to us all. And honestly, I think that he would be happy I think he'd be happy and he'd be amused. He doesn't want you, I don't think he wants you to be sad that he's gone, but I think that he would be proud of all you all.
Oh, he would. He would love to call us all friends now. He would, honestly, he would be mad at and ashamed at the people he called friends before. And he would embrace all of us and love us. He would be so happy that we're fighting for him, that we've all found our voices. Charlie has brought out so much in people that people that, new people, stuff that they didn't think they could ever do. Not just myself, but a bunch of other people. There's a ton of new people that have come out and started podcasts, come out and started talking because they want to get their voice out. They want to this is that important to them. And it's Charlie's inspired all that. He really is the turning point. Maybe not the turning point they wanted, but he is the turning point.
Yeah. And, I feel like he gave us all a voice, and now it's kind of hard to shut up. He gave us his voice. He's like, you need to question things. You have First Amendment rights. And now, that's not cool to them anymore. You're not supposed to have those qualities. And, that's what he wanted. And I'm tired of people making fun of dreams. They made fun of Candace for a couple weeks. Oh, Candace had a dream. So, she knows all the answers now. Dreams are biblical. These are the same people that are Christians. And I'm like, dreams are biblical. Did you laugh at David in the Bible? Dreams are biblical. And I'm tired of people saying otherwise. And it is a spiritual war, and I think some people are spiritually awake, some people are not.
I feel like that too. The people that have dreams like Candace, myself, or whatever, honestly, all that means is you're closer to God. So the people that want to sit there and laugh at you and make jokes about it, that just shows that they are not Christians at all whatsoever. They're wolves in sheep clothing. That's what they are. They're wolves in sheep clothing.
No. And I've had plenty of Christians tell me, I don't like Candace. Candace is evil. She needs to leave that widow alone. And, what she's doing is demonic. And I'm just like, no, like, you're totally seeing things the wrong way. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. If our investigations are wrong, they're wrong. I mean, we're not going to sit there, Candace corrects herself. You've corrected yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to sit here and be like, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think, I mean, I know she didn't pull the trigger. She's not like the person that actually did anything to him. But right. At the very least, I think she may have had foreknowledge. That's my personal opinion. But even if she didn't have foreknowledge, she's participating in the cover-up. And that's proof. That's not allegedly. She's participating in the cover-up because you can see it. She's the one directing everything behind the scenes, directing people to attack us, directing people. I mean, it's very obvious to everybody going on these
using the Bible. She's using the Bible too. I mean, I don't
filing on the Tyler Robinson case, to try to speed up the trial to make sure there's no investigation and stuff. That's clear signs to me that she's covering it up. To me, and I consider that a cover up.
Yeah, and when it comes to her, I'm just like, just pick one of your personalities and stick with it. Pick one of your personas and just stick with it, because we've seen this interesting little evolution in the past 8 months. Like, she started out in a glitter suit with like the pageant girl wave, and I'm a mother, and I embrace motherhood. And then people made fun of that because they're like, why are you wearing a glitter suit? Your husband just died. And then we kind of saw her do this natural look, this was my favorite look. The natural look with the natural hair, less makeup, and wearing mommy jeans. It's hot, hot, hot. I like that one. And then now we're seeing like this gangster who's dressed like
the assassin Eminem. Look. Exactly. Looks like an assassin.
Like buttoning the shirt. That's like convict looking stuff, like buttoning the black shirt all the way up, the black hat. And you know what? I was telling my friend, if you have to put on a costume to be like menacing and try to get your point across, you've already lost the battle. If you have to put on a Halloween costume to be like, I'm Venom now. I'm Venom. I'm not Spider-Man anymore. I'm Venom. Like, if you have to do that, get out of here.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we go,
that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah. I just got just a few more questions before you go, if you don't mind. I wanted to ask you one. Since you said that you've done events before, setting them up, doing the tables and everything, have you ever had any experience with this new hype squad that they have, where they hire these kids they give them swag and they have them come out to the event, and and they're the ones that are there and they try to hype people up, and they're the cheerleaders for Turning Point, clapping at the right moments when they want them to clap, and they're the ones that they have setting them up, when they have the questions that where they ask the Q&As, they're staged, the Q&As are staged, and they have their hype squad get in line to ask questions and pretend like they're actual audience people. But I'm just wondering if you had any experience as to that or not. I think that's a new thing.
No. I think it's a new thing because I didn't experience that. I was on campus, like standing beside Charlie when he did his brainwash tour, when he was still alive. I went on campuses just like twice when he was on there. But no, that must be a new thing. So like they're paying people to fill seats and stuff now. You said like
Yep.
actors. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't
Yep.
surprise me, especially after the JD Vance and Erica flop. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Exactly. And honestly, I
But that must
like
have
they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have to. When Charlie was alive, they didn't have to pretend. They didn't have to, hire people to fill the seats. They didn't have to use weird camera angles to try to pretend like their venues are full. They didn't have to crowd everybody in one little section to make it look full. Charlie could fill up a room, no problem. And I think that I'm pretty sure, I just wanted to ask, because I was pretty sure that this Hype Squad thing was something new that they're doing. But I just wanted to make sure. That's why I wanted to ask you. But yeah, the Hype Squad, what they're doing is, like I said, they're hiring these people. I don't know if they're paying them like money, or whether they're just paying them with swag, giving them like hats and merch and pins and stuff. And
they are pretty stingy with that stuff, so probably.
Yeah. And then getting them to go to these events, and like I said, they're there to fill the seats, they're there to ask questions, and they're there to clap and yell and all that at certain times that they want people to applause and stuff. And I think it makes me laugh. It's so funny that they have to resort to that kind of stuff now because they can't fill the arenas.
Just holding up signs. Like clap, holding up signs.
That's what that new joke. They're doing that. They're giving them signs to hold up. That's exactly what they're doing. It's so wild. It's so wild to watch. It makes me wild.
That's crazy, but that's hilarious. I'm sure that is going on. I'm not surprised. And you know what's weird? How the tables have turned, because we made fun of Kamala Harris when she came to Phoenix or whatever. To talk, they black curtained out the high seats. And that's immediately what I thought about when the Erica JD Vance thing happened. I was like, wow, how the tables have turned.
Yep. Now they're doing the exact same thing that they were criticizing the left for doing. It's wild. It's wild to me. Honestly, they're hypocrites in just about every way. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's like when the deep state took their mask off, it was people I knew. It was people that I supported and fought for to get in office. And I'm just like, on Scooby-Doo, when they reveal the killer, it's like, oh, it was us the whole time? Or it was this person the whole time? Like, I thought the deep state was, But that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Honestly, it makes me sick to my stomach, because I voted for Trump 3 times in a row. I started this this channel. I started this channel specifically to help get him over the line and get him elected. That's why I started this channel. And then to have him turn around and just completely dupe us all, doing the exact opposite, and then to see Charlie, Turning Point 2.0, same thing, completely dupe us all, do the exact opposite. Everything Charlie stood for, they're doing the exact opposite of it, and it's really sad. Honestly, it's a really sad state of affairs to watch and to experience right now. I will say I'm glad I don't have kids, because to me, like, I would feel like it was child abuse to bring kids up in this day and age with this kind of political climate,
It's sure scary. It's not the same world we lived in when you and I were kids, or maybe we just didn't know about it as much because social media.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Not at all.
And this is the JFK of our time. This is the JFK of our time.
Absolutely.
And people were 100%. People were devastated. People lost their minds after JFK died.
Yep.
So,
and honestly, they wanted to make it. They wanted to parallel it a lot more like JFK. That's why the 30-06. They said he was killed with a 30-06 and stuff. But no, sorry, that's not the case. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, it's wild to me. And the only
Right.
other question that I had for you is, you said you were at the memorial, or was it no AIM Fest, right? You were at the last AIM Fest, correct?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Um, I just wanted to ask, when you saw the tent, when they set up the tent that Charlie had gotten killed under, a recreation of the tent, and then the glass, the glass housing with the microphone or whatever. Like, what? How did that make you feel? Like when you saw that, what did you
That's
think of that?
interesting. I thought it was eerie. I'm kind of I can be a dark person. I like history and, like stuff displayed in history museums and stuff. But I did think that was kind of weird. It was a little eerie. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to get a picture by that. I remember thinking that. And obviously I've been 2 years at Turning Point, so I've become very desensitized to stuff. And I was still on the Kool-Aid then a little bit. And, because they told us that's not weird. That's not weird. That's what he would have wanted. And yeah, the microphone in the case, if they would have done that alone, I think that would have been kind of cool, to kind of have it in a case. But yeah, I know that upset a lot of people. The glitter suit combined with the tent kind of did it in for some people. But I do remember seeing it and people taking pictures by it, and I never really was clear on whether that was the real actual tent. Do you
Yeah,
know?
I
Was it
don't
the one?
I don't think so. I think it was a recreation, allegedly. Oh, I don't know. I mean, we were told it was a recreation, but I don't know whether they just said that after the fact because so many people were pissed off, or whether it really was. Who really knows?
Yeah.
But honestly, one thing that really pissed me off about that is, not only did they put the tent out there, but they put it, like, they decided somebody made the genius move to put the trash can under the tent. And I have pictures of that. Someone put the trash can under the tent. So not, so
I
now,
didn't notice that.
Yep. They put the trash can under the tent. So people would throw their trash. Like, that's how much they really meant to Charlie, is they put a trash can. Not only did they have the tent there, but they put a trash can in the tent. It was disgusting.
I didn't even notice that. Like I said, Amfest was like a blur to me. It was just a blur, and it was sickening. A lot of stuff was just sickening, and it's not the same without
Ben
Charlie.
Shapiro.
So,
no, I couldn't believe they put Ben Shapiro on the stage.
If you don't comply with what Turning Point says, they say that you're destroying Charlie's legacy. You're ruining his legacy and stuff. And the Ben Shapiro thing, speaking of microphone, he said he'd pick up the bloody microphone. Who says that? And then, obviously him and Ben Shapiro, they weren't best friends, and she had him open up for AmFest. That was messed up.
It was exactly. Yeah, I'm glad Tucker was there, and honestly, they didn't want him there. You could tell. The only reason he was there is because Charlie had already committed, and they knew that they would get so much blowback if they canceled him after the fact. And honestly, even though
close friends.
Exactly, it's wild, and honestly, yep. And that's why they haven't invited him back to any more. Tucker said in an interview last week, I think, that they haven't invited him to do any more events since then. And that was pretty strange.
Not surprised.
And he hasn't even, he's starting to speak out now, but up until now, he hasn't really been too vocal about everything. He's tried to walk the line, because I know he was friends with Charlie and Erica personally, and he kind of didn't want to go there.
Yeah. Funny you say that. The best thing for me about AmFest was I got to meet Tucker Carlson. Like, a private meet. And I won that at the Christmas party. I was like, that was a nice gift before I was escorted out. That was a really nice gift, was getting to meet Tucker Carlson. And of course, I didn't get to talk to him about what I wanted to talk to him about because there was too many people around. Andrew Colvett was there. He was around. And yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but this is what I said to Tucker. One of the most humble people I've ever met. That's high profile like that. One of the most humble people I've ever met. And I told him, I said, Tucker, I know a lot of people were offended by your speech at the memorial, but I loved it. And that's exactly how I saw things. The story you told, the comparison that you made, I said, that's exactly how I saw things. And I'm glad you said it. And he goes, I didn't mean to say it. It just came out. And I was like, I know. I was like, but it came to you and you were meant to say it. And thank you for that. And he goes, no, actually. No, actually. No, actually. And he kept saying it as I was walking off. He is hilarious. He is hilarious.
That's so Tucker. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. And honestly, like you said, God, put that in it. Put that in him to say, I think we're all, being used by God. I really do.
Use me.
Oh,
that's
one more thing.
Now. Just use me. Sure.
Exactly. One more thing about the microphone that I wanted to make is something I didn't think about at the time, but I think about now that I think is, also very telling is they had Charlie's microphone that he was holding in that glass case at AmFest. And that means that the FBI did not confiscate it as evidence.
Yeah. That's a good point. I thought that way about the tent. I was like, if that's the original tent, then yes. And, that guy, what's his name?
Same thing with Charlie's phone and Erica's phone. They should have been confiscated for evidence. Yeah, Terrell Farnsworth is who you're talking about, by the way.
Yeah, and he said that he the SIM card he sent off to the FBI. We don't know that. We don't know any of that. We don't know where that information is. And I was telling my friend the other night, they started contaminating that crime scene almost immediately after he was killed or after he was shot. He put his nasty ass feet in the chair when he stepped up to get that SIM card. They were walking all through the grass under the tent. I'm just like, you've already contaminated the crime scene. And then they pave over it.
Yeah, I mean, completely. I couldn't believe that. Honestly, when I saw that, there's a cut. Like, not only did he immediately after it happened, not only did he pick up Charlie's chair, use it to stand on it, remove the SD card, remove the camera, which is all very important. It's all evidence, and the cops, they would need to see that camera's position so they could tell where it's pointing. And I mean, everything they would have, this is before they did any reconstructions. They had forensics out there, none of that. Trampling all up and all through the grass and everything right there under the tent without a care in the world. I have somebody else that sent me a video, which is starting to go viral now. It didn't go viral when I posted it, but it's starting to go viral now. A lady was on the balcony and she sent me her private video she took looking down over the balcony right after it happened. And you can see them, his security people just walking all in and out, in and out, in and out, all over the area. And another thing, it showed that there wasn't any blood there. It's just all very strange to me. And then, like you said, with them covering up, paving the crime scene.
That's when I knew. I was like, at that moment I knew. And when Erica said, stop asking questions, I was like, yeah, that's it for me. That's it for me.
Yep. Honestly, that was about the point where I turned on Erica, because I wasn't originally at first. I wasn't against Erica. I tried to stay off of that. I didn't want to think she was involved. The more and more stuff I started seeing made me, question whether she was involved a lot more. But I tried to stay off of that scenario, and it was finally, I think around that time, when she finally said stop, don't, and I could tell that she went on that. Honestly, it was the book tour is what did it for me. When she went on that book tour in general, that's what turned on me, and I was like, you know what? Nah, she's involved. She's involved.
And didn't we hear later on that she didn't even read the book? Didn't someone speak up and say that?
Yeah, I think so. I kind of remember
I
that.
heard
Yeah,
something
not
like
100% sure, but I
she
think
didn't even
so.
read it.
Yeah,
Nothing shocks me
very
anymore,
wild.
Colin. But
No, me either.
yeah, but I really appreciate you having me on. I hope you see me as a resource and a new friend to you because, like I said, I think the world of you and other people that are doing this and continue the fight. And we need to stick together. All of us need to stick together. Your audience, the audiences, you, because we're gonna win. We're gonna win in the end, one way or the other. It may not be officially like by the justice system. They may not do their due diligence. The FBI, the CIA may not, but we're gonna win in the end.
I was muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
we're
where'd he
definitely
go?
gonna we're definitely gonna win. And we're gonna get justice for Charlie, and that's what it's about. That's what we're in it for. We're gonna get justice for him, one way or the other. We're gonna get
Mhm.
answers. I don't know if they're gonna
Yeah, we
actually
already
face
have.
any. Yeah, yep. And I don't know whether they're going to face any legal consequences because of obviously who's in charge. But they're definitely, they're all going to be held guilty in the court of public opinion.
Mhm.
They're going to
Yeah,
be shamed
and it
everywhere they
says,
go for the rest of their life.
"Vengeance is mine," saith the Lord. That's what I've always heard. Vengeance is
Amen.
mine. And I hope they know that, all this stuff that they're doing, these little local races, campus tours, chapters, or whatever, none of that's going to matter in the end. None of that matters in the end. Not on Judgment Day, not when Jesus comes back. None of that matters.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I guess that's about it for us here. Let me just look real quick and see if we have any comments or anything. Uh, yeah, we got one. We got one comment. I can't. They donated anonymously, so I can't shout them out. But whoever sent it, thank you very much. They said, "Hey, try to send a
oh,
super chat on YouTube. Hope this works." Well, whoever sent that, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm not monetized on YouTube, unfortunately. X is the only place I monetize, which is why they're hurting more than anything, hurting financially. But yeah, that's why I did this. This is a way for me to be able to have you guys send super chats, so you can be involved, as well as another way for me to help, for you to help support me and my work.
Yes.
So
Yes. We've got to
I
counteract
appreciate
them.
you.
Well, yep. We're all going to
Absolutely.
stick together on this. Don't you worry.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you very much. I think Candace she probably already started, but that'll be the next
Oh,
stop.
yeah.
If you are not, well, yeah, go watch Candace. When you're done here, go watch Candace,
Yeah, we were
guys.
just we
She's
were just the opener. We're the opening band.
exactly.
We were just the opener.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, God
She's the
bless
real
and take care,
entertainment.
Colin.
You too. Stay in touch, and
Yeah, take
maybe
care.
I'll have you
This
back
was
on the
awesome.
show. Maybe we'll do another show a little bit later and go over some more stuff or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Anytime. Thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, guys.
See ya.
That's all I got for you to do. See you on the next one. Later, Gators.